everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the NFL Seekers podcast. Today, we're coming at you with a late night fantasy football mock draft. Just got done watching some preseason football. Crazy that it's already here. It was a little bit of a slugfest watching that Chargers Seahawks game, but we're just grateful and thankful that football is here. It's absolutely crazy. It's flying by. It's really getting real now. So I'm excited. How are you, Josh?
Doing good. Really disappointed that NFL Sunday Ticket doesn't have other games because the games that they had were not that great. And 3 hours of our lives that we're not going to get back from watching that terrible, terrible Chargers Seahawks game. It was just brutal. But hey, football is back and it was fun to lay on the couch and do nothing but watch football all day. So I'm not going to complain. But I wish we would have seen a little bit more out of that game, which we just barely got done watching. But yeah, brutal, brutal slugfest. And like I texted you, I'd probably rather stab my eyes with forks than have to rewatch that game. It was just that terrible.
Yeah, brutal that Sunday Ticket doesn't allow us to have a little octo box or, quad box to be able to watch these preseason games. We have to pay for NFL Plus, and I'm not doing that for preseason when I already have Sunday Ticket. So that is tough. And thank you for bringing that up. But yeah, we'll get into this mock draft. It's 12 team full point PPR mock draft, and we randomized, and Stores got the first pick, of course, and I got the ninth pick. So with that, let's just get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. And the first pick may damn near, in my honest opinion from doing mock drafts this year, it's the pick that I don't want. It's like you have no room for error. You have to you with the value. I mean, you're picking one. You have to pick the best player. So if you don't pick the best player, then your value is all off. So picking number one is really hard. And in no season has any fantasy player ever had a consecutive back-to-back number one overall season. And so, I might try and get a little cute and go in a different direction than the obvious Christian McCaffrey here. But I mean, it is true. Christian McCaffrey's, the injury concerns, the Madden curse, and it's kind of all ticking against him, to not repeat because the Madden curse is real. So with that, I think I'm actually, CD Lamb, again, he's an obvious number one pick too, but as you see, he removed America's team from his bio and he is now holding out, so that is a little suspect. And so I'm going to go with the guy that had 5 weeks over 30 points and had 10 weeks over 20 points. And it's just one of the most dominant football players in the NFL, and that's going to be Tyreek Hill. I don't really see anything changing with that offense. He's dynamic, he's lethal. He's gonna absolutely torch defenses because he's the hardest player in the NFL to stop.
It's bold. It's bold, man. It is bold. I like what you're saying. I understand with the first overall pick, you cannot miss because there's a lot of picks in between your next pick in the second round. So it is hard drafting first overall, and you have to really hit. So you are calling your shot on Tyreek Hill. Personally, I am sticking with Christian McCaffrey because if you had the first pick last year and you didn't take him, you looked like a complete dickhead, and he just really broke fantasy last year. He was awesome. So I understand that there is definitely a chance that he does get hurt. He's already been kind of held out of some practices. So it's bold, but I like you going with that exercise, and we'll go on to my pick if there's not anything else you want to say on that.
Well, I was gonna say, I was actually looking earlier on ESPN's points rankings for week one of the NFL draft, or sorry, not the NFL draft, of the NFL first season game. And it's a bunch of quarterbacks, and right in the middle of the quarterbacks, you got Christian McCaffrey projected 22.4 points, which is just brutal. And it pains my soul to not take him here. But in this exercise, I wanted to switch it up. So you can roast me in the comments. I'm here for it. I need it. I need a little bit of roasting for not taking him. But watch out for Tyreek Hill, man, because you're gonna get those boom weeks that win. I mean, 5 weeks over 30 points. That's that's pretty incredible. That's gonna win you many, many fantasy games and get you into the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, I understand it. Tyreek Hill will get you insane boom weeks bigger than really anyone. So I like to pick. We'll move off from it and we'll go to my pick and pick nine. The next seven picks after that, or eight picks, were CD Lamb, Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson, Brees Hall, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and AJ Brown are all off the board before my next pick. I was hoping that Brees Hall would be here, or AJ Brown, and neither of them are here. So I am deciding between Bijan Robinson, Puka Nacua, Jameer Gibbs here, hoping that maybe one of them can come back to me in round two. But out of all these guys, the highest on my board is definitely Bijan Robinson. I'm just really excited for the Falcons this year. I'm excited with Kurt coming over, with Zach Robinson coming over. I think the output for the Falcons offense is going to be brilliant, honestly. We just did the NFC South deep dive, so go check that out. If you haven't already, we really were excited about the Falcons offense. And I think they have a pretty special season, and Bijan just has so much talent. I think he's a top three running back in the NFL just physically. So I'm really optimistic. I think he gets a lot of receptions as well. And this is a full point PPR league. So I will be taking Bijan and hoping that one of these good receivers falls back to me with my pick of the turn here. Any thoughts on Bijan?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a fantastic pick. You know, obviously I had my concerns. I really have just wiped him all away. Last year, you know, if you draft him, he was actually still really good, but it just felt like we kind of got burned by Arthur Smith in that offense. But just like for Bijan, have to have a fresh reset. Kirk Cousins has produced really good fantasy running backs in the past with Dalvin Cook for many years. And so I think, you know, Bijan, you know, has the potential to even finish as RB1. I think he's up there in, you know, in the athleticism and in the special player as, you know, special player talent as Christian McCaffrey. He can catch. I mean, you saw some jukes last year where he absolutely just juked people out of their shoes. And he is that good of a running back, and he gets a little hate because of what happened last season, which was all out of his control. Obviously, Zach Robinson saying Tyler Algier is gonna get some work too does scare me, but I think that's just smoke.
Yeah, absolutely. Really high on Bijan. It'll be a fun player to have. And then after the Bijan pick is Puka Nacua, Jameer Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jonathan Taylor, and Kyron Williams off the board. Kind of rough. Those are like all of the guys that I was targeting here. If I'm being honest, this board couldn't have fallen any worse for me because I would take Drake London here if I didn't already have Bijan Robinson. I don't want too much of an investment into that Falcons offense. That would be a little bit crazy with my first two picks here. So I am in a little bit of a pickle here. I'm kind of deciding between Saquon, Devontae Adams, Drake London, and Sam Laporta, honestly, the top guys on the board. And I am torn. I am torn here between Devontae Adams and Saquon Barkley. I think I hate it, honestly. I've never really done this. I don't want to start with two running backs, but I think I'm just going to go with Saquon Barkley. I think he ultimately has the most output of any of these guys, and he ends with the most points of any of these guys. I'm not like out on Devontae Adams, but this feels a little bit high for, an Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew receiver. I don't know if I can physically do it to myself. I just know this Eagles offense is going to be scoring a lot. Saquon will be falling into the end zone a lot. I think he'll just have a lot more touchdowns than Devontae. So ultimately, I am going to go Saquon here. Start with two running backs. We'll see how it goes. I'm not the most excited about it, but it'll be interesting.
No, that was the right pick. That was a good pick. And you know, obviously in 2024, 2025 that we're going into, double running backs meta is a little suspect, but I've always kind of leaned to going double running backs because it's just so hard to get them in the later rounds where you can throw those dart throws at wide receivers. You know, like last year, Nico Collins, Puka Nacua. There's just a Jordan Addison. There's a lot of really good value in receivers. You just have to hit on them in the later rounds where there's not as much with starting running backs. But one guy I do kind of want to talk about in the first round too, who I'm just ultra excited about, and you know, he obviously goes at number 12 there, Garrett Wilson. I just think he's. I mean, he had over back-to-back 1,000 yard seasons with arguably the worst quarterback play in NFL history, and now he gets a Hall of Fame quarterback. You know, hopefully for a full season. Hopefully Aaron Rodgers stays healthy. But look for Garrett Wilson to do some big things, man. Because if he's able to put up those numbers, I'm just banking on that. And we were so hyped about it last year, it just never went to fruition with Rodgers getting hurt on second play. But I'm so excited about him and what he's been able to do with such terrible quarterback play. I just think it's going to be elevated so much more, and I couldn't be more excited for Garrett Wilson. And another guy, sorry to just keep blabbering, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Another guy, if you get in the mid rounds, is just a lock for just a good pick. He's gonna get so much receptions. He's a touchdown machine. I think he's going to finish as the top three receiver. Bold take from me. I think he even has the upside of finishing one. I'm not too bullish to pick him, you know, in the top three, but I think he does have the potential to finish as the top three fantasy wide receiver.
Yeah, I've started honestly picking Amon Ra in the top three, top four. He is my wide receiver three right now. I just really love him as well. I just have a feeling that he has a special season with the PPR machine about him. I think Garrett Wilson as well is awesome. I love his value at wide receiver eight. I think that he's easily the eighth best receiver in fantasy, so I'm targeting him as well. But after my pick, Drake London, Sam Laporta, Devontae Adams, ETN, Chris Olave, Derrick Henry, and Josh Allen go right before your pick.
Brutal. I was wanting to go Laporta if he fell. I was wanting to go ETN if he fell. I was wanting to go Josh Allen if he fell. So I'm gonna have to kind of pivot here. You have Josh Jacobs on the board, Mike Evans, who's just solid every single year, Nico Collins. Oh, geez, Josh Jacobs, who I'm a little on the fence about picking, in the second round. With this first pick, here at the turn. I'm gonna go with a guy who I'm just madly in love with this season, and I do not think that Stephon Diggs, I'll say it, poses a threat to him. I do not. I think he's the best wide receiver on that team. I think Stephon Diggs is a drama queen. I think I think Tank Dell's even going to be better than Stephon Diggs. So I'm staying away from Stephon Diggs, but Nico Collins and CJ Stroud's connection last year was inevitable. I mean, it was just it was, they just clicked, and right at the end of the season two in the playoffs, they were just getting really hot together. So I expect that to continue over to this year, and for him to stay the wide receiver one on the Texans. What do you think about Nico here at the turn?
No, couldn't agree more. I think this is a good range for him right behind Olave Adams, right in front of Ayuk, who definitely has some questions around him. I definitely like this range, and I agree he's easily the wide receiver one, the focal point in that offense. I definitely wouldn't knock that pick at all.
And now here, I kind of want to get a running back on my board because they just start flying off the board here. And gosh, I'm just not in love with the receivers as much. Travis Kelce is obviously a very good pick here, too. Oh gosh. I'm on the fence between the two Chiefs players here, Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Kelce. I'm
Kelsey
kind
six picks after Laporta doesn't seem bad at all.
No, that's really good value. And I mean, he's obviously the wide receiver one on the Chiefs, and he's going to continue to be. Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco is really tempting here because it is the run first Chiefs, and I think he's going to be utilized through the air a little bit more. And just another name I'll throw out there who I wouldn't even mind taking is Rashad White, who I think is just going to be an electric running back and, should easily finish as a top eight running back. Oh gosh. Yeah, I think I'm not going to be silly here. I think I am going to take Travis Kelce. I mean, the guy is just a lock to finish as a top three tight end. I mean, consecutive tight end one finishes. Last year felt like kind of a down year for him, but I mean, this is a bona fide Hall of Fame tight end that can put up 20 points a week easily.
Yeah, I love it. Love Travis Kelce. He was the tight end one last year, and it didn't really seem like it. It felt like a down year, but he was kind of playing hurt the whole year, and he still finished with a very good fantasy output. So I definitely rate that pick. Mike Evans, Josh Jacobs, Devon Achan, Brandon Ayuk, Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, and Isaiah Pacheco go right before my pick, and I am ecstatic because the person that I was in my mind praying would fall to me here in the third round is Debo Samuel. I have him ranked as a wide receiver 13, above Nico Collins, above Mike Evans, Ayuk, Diggs, Moore. I'm really high on Debo Samuel. Even if Ayuk is there, I just think that he's the top guy in that 49ers receiving room. I really do. I just love his output. He averaged almost 17 points per game last year in fantasy. I'm just going to target Debo because he's really electric. He can give you those boom weeks, but he also provides you a nice floor. So I am ecstatic that Debo is here this late in the third round, and I'm going to run this pickup to the draft board.
Good pick. And yeah, if Ayuk ends up leaving the team, Debo is going to be the one of the focal points of that offense. He's going to be the focal point through the passing game, and I mean he could be lethal, man. He kind of does it all. The offense really doesn't click without him. Real quick, Dan, how high do you feel taking the rookie Malik Neighbors, and what did you think of his first preseason game and his practices against the was it the Carolina Panthers, I believe,
Yeah, he's just killing everyone. It was the Lions that he
or
was
Lions? Yes.
frustrating. He's gonna be that guy. He's gonna talk crap and get in corners' heads, and he's just you can tell he's gonna be a dog. So I do really love Neighbors. I have him ranked above Mike Evans, who's already gone. I have him ranked above Sam Laporta, even Stephon Diggs. So I'm definitely high on him. I think he's a top 19, 20 receiver, and I just think he's worth the the chance because Daniel Jones is bad, but he's not bad enough to where he can't throw him a football. And he kind of succeeds in the intermediate game anyway, and he succeeds with the rack, the yards after catch. So I do really love Neighbors. I was actually hoping that he would make it here back to me, and that was kind of my plan. So that does suck.
And Rashad White's gone, and Jalen Waddle. So those are two really good options too. Jalen Waddle, obviously a bona fide wide receiver too, with lots of upside. I don't think he's finished under 1,000 receiving yards since his career began. And then, like I said, I would have felt almost comfortable taking Rashad at the 3-1 just because he is such a high upside player. He's gonna get the touches, he's gonna get the volume. They added Graham Barton, which hopefully helps the interior of that offensive line that was so terrible last year. And he was fantastic even with a terrible offensive line. So if it just upgrades a little bit, he could be incredible.
Absolutely. Yep. Pittman, Hurts, Mahomes, Waddle, Neighbors, and Rashad White go right before my pick. And you mentioned Rashad White, and I do love him. I have him ranked high, but I have one player ranked one spot above him on my board, and that is James Cook for the Bills. I absolutely love the outlook for James Cook. I love the outlook for every single Bills player on their roster. It just feels like they're being undervalued, and it's going to be one of the best offenses in the NFL, regardless, with Josh Allen throwing to him. And I think James Cook is underrated as a runner. He actually impressed me as a runner last year. And as a receiver, he'll be used a lot in the receiving game. He's by far their best receiving back. So Josh Allen will dump it off to him when he needs. And yeah, I do like the outlook for James Cook. I think you were telling me that week one he's projected something crazy like 17 or something. So I
17.3 is
yes.
James Cook. Yep. Seven, or excuse me. Oh, yeah, it is 17.3 against the Arizona Cardinals at 11 o'clock, baby.
Beautiful. Yeah, that Cardinals Bills game is going to be money for fantasy. Definitely don't start any of those defenses. That's going to be a high scoring game, electric one week one. But yeah, I will go James Cook. That pick really excites me. Getting him and Debo in round 3 and 4, actually, I'm really happy about that with how I started my draft.
Yeah, no. I've always been a little lower on James Cook, but I'm starting to come around to him. I think, like you've always told me, I think it's just the fumbles. I just don't think he's ever really performed to what I expected him to be. But he's going to be the main running back in that offense with plenty of volume. He's going to get a lot of checkdowns from Josh Allen. So, with a 17.3 point projection, they know something's going on with him. They know he's going to be productive.
Yeah, definitely has to fix the fumbles. He'll have -2 points in a decent amount of games this year, but hopefully he can get close to 20 in a lot of them as well and get some touchdowns, more touchdowns than he had last year. After my pick, Cooper Kupp, Lamar Jackson, Kamara, Trey McBride, DK Metcalf, CJ Stroud, and Devonta Smith go right before Stores' round 4 pick.
Yeah, and this one's tough for me now because I'm kind of forced to get a running back here. Joe Mixon, Joe Mixon surprisingly is actually projected very high in week one too, 16.1 for the Houston Texans. Dalton Kincaid would have been a very tempting pick right here if I didn't have Travis Kelce. I'm super excited for him. I want to just throw this stack out because I've been so hyped and I've been doing it in a lot of mock drafts. I've been doing the Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid stack. I feel like that's just going to be a lethal stack and a really fun one to have. Um, but gosh, I mean, I'm leaning Joe Mixon here. I just like you said, I hate having too much stock in one offense, but it is an electric offense here. And if I don't take a running back here, it's just the board gets really weak. And I'm gonna go get my two running backs. I'm gonna go Joe Mixon here with my first pick, and then I'm gonna go back with Kenneth Walker. And I need to get some running backs on the board, man. After the third round, going into the fourth round, they go like hotcakes. The talent really drops off. And Kenneth Walker with the new regime, I think he's going to be a dog. I think he's been a dog every single year. He's not huge in a PPR sense because he doesn't get a lot of receptions, but he's just such a good running back. He kind of reminds me of Nick Chubb 2.0. He's gonna carry the ball for 100 plus yards and get in the end zone, and so that's really where his value is.
Yeah, that honestly is the perfect value for those two running backs. You honestly kind of got lucky, not taking a running back in the first 3 rounds, that you get those two as your starting running backs, and you can kind of just set those two as your starters. I think that's perfect, honestly, because after them there is kind of a drop off. I think that's actually after Mixon and Walker is kind of where the running back drop off starts to go because there is a lot more question marks with Aaron Jones than there are with those two guys. So I definitely really love those picks. Zay Flowers, George Pickens, Mark Andrews, Anthony Richardson, Kyle Pitts, T. Higgins, and Tank Dell go right before me. And it's like a gift from the heavens is happening right now because I am insanely
Damn
high on
it.
Dalton Kincaid. He's my tight end too. I'm not even kidding you. I'm drafting him as my tight end too. And Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews go a few picks before him. He lands in my lap, so I will rush this pick up into the board. I don't know if this is realistic at all, honestly. I see him going a lot higher, but I'll take what the board gives me, and I have to take Dalton Kincaid here. I need receiving help, and I don't care if I have two Bills in my offense. I trust Josh Allen to put a lot of output out there.
That's a damn good pick, man. And incredible value there. You're getting the Bills wide receiver one. You're getting Josh Allen's number one target in the fifth round. So you love the value there.
Yeah, I'm absolutely pumped about this pick. Christian Kirk, Amari Cooper, George Kittle, Keenan Allen, Aaron Jones, and Evan Ingram go right before my next pick. And I do need to add another receiver into my lineup. I have three good running back options and a tight end. So I am looking receiver here. Let me check what quarterbacks are available. I like a lot of, I'm just going to say I love quarterback value this year. I'm waiting on quarterback in every single draft I do, no matter what. I just think that quarterback value is like a cheat code in fantasy this year. I really do. So I will be looking at receiver here. Let me look at my rankings real quick, see what I have highest out of these guys, because this is a little bit of a crapshoot tier of receivers.
I'll tell you why I have highest, but I don't want you to take him. I'll wait and I'll see if you take him, but I'm not gonna say anything.
All right, the person that's highest on my board out of these guys is, man, this is gross. I'm not gonna lie. The person that's highest on my board is Jaden Reed, but I'm like grossly high on Jaden Reed. But I'm gonna take him here. I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
man.
is that who
That
you're gonna take?
that's my highest guy. You could yeah, he's such a dog with he's the wide receiver one in that offense right now, in my opinion. Christian Watson injured already.
Yeah.
Hasn't even started. Jaden Reed's as their coach Matt LaFleur said, he's a war daddy, man. He does it all. He's kind of like a Debo Samuel. He's like a poor man's Debo Samuel, but he's gonna be in a good offense and he's gonna I feel like get, majority of the touches.
Yeah, that's the thing is Christian Watson is always hurt, and when he is, they're just gonna attack Jaden Reed and really feed him. He got a lot of PPR points last year, so I will take Jaden Reed. I was considering Calvin Ridley as well. He was the other guy that I was kind of considering. I don't know if Terry McLaurin will be the most exciting option this year. I'm not the highest on Daniels as a passer, so I will go Jaden Reed. I just trust Jordan Love and that Packers offense to output a lot of points in fantasy.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That was the right pick. It was the good pick. I'm sad about it. It looked really good on my flex spot. But after that, there goes Joe Burrow, James Conner, Terry McLaurin, Ramondre Stevenson, DeAndre Swift, who looked pretty good in the one play that he had for the Bears today. And Caleb Williams, just got to throw that out. There was an absolute just a stud, man. I mean, the guy's arm strength, the poise. He looks ready. He looks like he's already in midseason form. He looks like an NFL vet, and people are gonna bite their words for talking smack on Caleb Williams because he's a dude. He's definitely a dude.
Yeah, already looking like baby Mahomes in his first preseason NFL game. Justin Fields fans are definitely trembling after watching him. But after my Jaden Reed pick, Joe Burrow, James Conner, Scary Terry, Ramondre, DeAndre Swift, Chris Godwin, and David Montgomery go before stores.
You just totally repeat. I just already said that.
Oops.
You're good. I was gonna let you finish. Um, gosh, this is brutal. Rasheed Rice, who I'd obviously love to take, and Jordan Addison. I don't know if they're going to be in jail. I don't know if they're going to be suspended. So it's hard because the value of those two would be great if they played a full season and they weren't, ending up in jail or suspended or whatever's going on with those two. But it just scares me away from them for that reason. I might go bold here. I might do two bold picks just to keep everyone on their feet here listening to this. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do this one first. I'm gonna go
Ooh.
Caleb Williams here because that first preseason game, I've seen enough. I'm sold on him. He is a dude. He's gonna be fantastic. I think he could be an easily top four quarterback in fantasy football with his ability to run. He's got an incredible offense. If he looks that comfortable in his first preseason start against starters, I mean, I mean, the sky's the limit for this guy. I mean, his running ability is going to add so much fantasy value. I think he'll run for 400 or 500 yards and have, a handful of touchdowns to go along with passing for a ton in that high-powered offense with three incredible receivers, the best receiving core in football, I shall say. And then
I love that Store's taking him as the QB8, so he's really calling a shot on Caleb Williams, and I like it. I think he could easily finish in that range 100%. He's got crazy upside.
then I'm gonna go another dude to just I think I've been very high on it. Maybe too early in a lot of people's eyes, but I'm gonna go Zamir White because I don't see any competition for him. He's in an offense with terrible quarterback play that's gonna rely on him a lot. And so I think Zamir White, for being, the RB1 on his team, is gonna be a very valuable pick. This is at the 7-1 turn right here. I think that's a very good value pick for a starting, for a starting running back.
Yeah, I like it. He definitely will be that guy for the Raiders. Not really any competition, just Alexander Madison. So I definitely like you calling your shot on those two picks. Rashi Rice, Tony Pollard, Odunze, Xavier Worthy, Jordan Addison, Calvin Ridley, and Bowers all go before my next pick. And yeah, like you said, Jordan Addison and Rashi Rice are just impossible to draft. They're just so hard to project even what's going to go on with them. They're just really tough situations right now in fantasy. But with my next pick, there is a running back that I am eyeing here, so I'm gonna bet that he falls to me. And I will be going receiver, which is a position I need. And I probably need upside with my current build. So I will be going Lad McConkey. Really like Lad. I have a feeling that they use him like the Rams use Cooper Kupp and they just attack him and really give him all the targets. And he could be a PPR machine as a rookie. So I think he ends up being, one of the best rookies in fantasy this year. He definitely could easily outproduce Romo Dunze. So I like the value here. And he's going to be starting my flex. So that should be interesting.
Very, very disappointed that you took him. That was a pipe dream that he'd fall back to me. I probably went a little too early on Caleb Williams, but I am going to call my shot that I think he has that top five upside for a quarterback. But damn, that one stings a little bit. That was definitely my plan to see if he could fall back to me to finish off my starting flex. But I mean, I think he goes into an offense where I think he is the number one wide receiver already. I think he's the best wide receiver on that team. I think he's already got chemistry with Justin Herbert. I think they're gonna click. He's sneakily fast. I mean, he kind of plays like Keenan Allen, but he is a little bit bigger and he's a little bit faster. And so I think he'll just slide into this offense and just be fantastic and be Justin Herbert's number one target from day one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think he is the best receiver in that room. So I'm going to bet on the talent. Najee Harris, Hollywood Brown, Mostert, Jonathan Brooks, Ferguson, and Dak Prescott go before my next pick. And I am in a little bit of a predicament because I said that I wanted to get Zach Moss here, but I didn't think that Jordan Love would be available. And I have the opportunity for the Jordan Love and Jaden Reed stack as well. Kind of tough. Don't know if you guys can hear this motorcycle just screaming next to my house, but hopefully the mic's not picking that up. Geez. But I don't know. Yeah, I think since I have my starting lineup, I have both my flex spots taken care of. I would love to have Zach Moss, but that is a lot of running backs in my team anyway. So I will be going with Jordan Love, get the Jaden Reed and Jordan Love stack. And I just am insanely high on Jordan Love. You have Caleb Williams as your QB8, and Jordan Love is my QB8. So I like the value. I'm calling my shot on him. He was the QB2 last year as well. Like, I just think everyone's sleeping on him in fantasy. I'm trying to draft him in every single draft that I do because he only played like half the season last year, technically, because the first half he was kind of abysmal. So I really have high hopes for Jordan Love. I think he's just going to be awesome off that contract, really just have an electric offensive output for the Packers.
Yeah, that was a really good pick, and I'm very glad he didn't take Zach Moss because I'm going to run that one up to the board real quick and get another
And
starting running back in my roster. I'm pretty running back heavy here. I'm not very wide receiver heavy. Two running backs are starting in my flex. That's hasn't been something I've planned or actually even done in any of my previous mock drafts. But I mean, after you draft, they're Nick Chubb, Javante Williams, Kyler Murray. Brian Thomas Jr., who's kind of interesting. I think he's going to be super fun, worth a dart throw, especially in the eighth, ninth round. I think, he'll be their leading. I think he could be, I think Brian Thomas Jr. could lead that team in touchdowns. I mean, he scored 17 touchdowns at LSU in his final year. And there were so many dropped touchdowns from Trevor Lawrence's wide receivers last season. I think Brian Thomas is just going to come in there and fill that void. Deontay Johnson goes and David Njoku. Obviously, I just take Zach Moss there. He is a starting running back in the NFL. That is good enough for volume for me to take right here at the 8-12. And at the 9-1, I need a little upside. I need to get some more receivers on my team. Keon Coleman, the Bills' first draft pick they took, and he's a big dude. He's got a lot of upside. I watched a little bit of him in the preseason today. He does look smooth. He looks comfortable out there. And at this point in the draft, for my first bench player, I got to shoot for some upside.
Yeah, those are perfect picks. Those are exactly the two picks I would have gone as well. Zach Moss has got to be the most slept on player in fantasy right now. People are really thinking that Chase Brown is going to be the starter for the Bengals. I think he's going to be the three down guy for the Bengals, and I couldn't disagree more. I think he'll have the same role as he had last year. He'll be a fun, electric third down back, but I think Zach Moss will be that Joe Mixon guy, Joe Mixon role that just gets all the bulk of the carries. He's in the red zone. He'll be falling into the end zone a lot. I think Zach Moss had a great season last year. I think he's just a stupid value. Eighth round seems crazy for him. He shouldn't be going behind Nick Chubb, Jonathan Brooks, Javonte Williams. I have him ranked as a top 20 running back. So I love that pick. Keon Coleman just, he has the potential to be the wide receiver one for Josh Allen. So enough said there. Austin Eckler, DeAndre Hopkins, JSN, Spears, Christian Watson, Jalen Warren, and Trey Benson go before my next pick. I was targeting Jalen Warren, so that's a little bit unfortunate. I'm definitely tilting here.
I'm just gonna speak real quick on one more thing with Zach Moss. So Zach Moss, when he was the starter for the Colts for the first 5 games, 18 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. To go with four targets for 4 catches for 19 yards. So he scored 20 fantasy points. Next week he goes 30 carries, 122 yards for 22.5 points, and then a receiving touchdown. And then he goes 9 points. And then the next 2 weeks he goes 33.5 and 17.9. So people don't really realize he's a good running back. He is a solid running back. He can get it done through the air. I mean, he has multiple games with over 5+ targets in his starts. He got a touchdown through the air. I mean, he scored multiple touchdowns on the ground in those. He scored 4 touchdowns in the 5 starts that he had on the ground and one through the air.
Yeah, he's definitely being one of the more slept on players right now in fantasy. So definitely agree with that pick. With my next pick, I'm deciding between a few players here. I really love Khalil Shakir. I think he can fall to me with my next pick in the next round. Kind of want to go with someone with a little more of a floor. Devin Singletary seems fun. He's projected 181 points, which is like 20 more than any of these other guys. So I'm definitely a little bit intrigued by Devin Singletary. I also like Gray and Tracy behind him, so I could see a world where they really split that backfield. So this is a hard pick for me. I shouldn't be struggling this much with a late round pick. But you know what? I need receiver. I need floor at receiver. I'm a Bo Nix believer. I absolutely love Bo Nix. He's been killing it in camp. I'm gonna go for his number one receiver. He had a pretty solid season last year in fantasy. I don't think he's gonna have near as much touchdowns as he had last year. There's some receivers coming in that'll kind of share that load, and Troy Franklin and Josh Reynolds and Tim Patrick, but I will go Cortland Sutton. I just need a guy that I can start with Lad McConkey, maybe having some injury concerns and being a rookie, just someone reliable on the bench.
Yeah, Cortland Sutton just always seems to put up numbers. He's a good receiver when he's out on the field. So, a new quarterback in town, he's gonna look for the number one guy in that offense and hyper target him. So I can definitely see the value there of getting him here, almost at the end of the ninth round.
And then Tua, TJ Hawkinson, Goddard, Jamison Williams, Singletary, and Brian Robinson go before my next pick. And
This is why a quarterback is such a value because Tua just barely went. What did Tua finish last year? Do you happen to have that pulled up? Wasn't it like quarterback
it was
4?
top eight, I believe. I think he was 7 or 8, but I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, I mean, and then who's still just don't want to read off the quarterback still on the board. Can you just
Yeah,
go?
like I was gonna say, I would very much consider taking Jaden Daniels right here because I just think he's gonna be a cheat code value as well. Just with the rushing, we saw it in preseason already in his first preseason game. He got a rushing touchdown. I think he's gonna be a cheat code in fantasy, regardless of how good he is as a passer.
I
And
mean, yeah,
Goff
yeah.
and
Jaden
Hart.
Daniels, Goff, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, even if you're looking for guys with just floors to throw 2 touchdowns a game, Kirk Cousins, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Rodgers, it's like you can wait till the ninth, 10th round to get quarterbacks that are, just going to be solid for your team. If you're going to take one of the guys with crazy upside, obviously you're going to have to take them within the first 5 rounds, Josh Allen, Mahomes, and stuff. But it's just, you can wait on quarterback, and I kind of kicked myself in the foot because I could have had you know a little bit. I could have had a Swift or a Terry McLaurin or a Jaden Reed or a Keenan Allen to add to my team and then get a quarterback later. So it is a cheat code. Got to throw that out there.
Yeah, quarterback is one of the better values in all of fantasy right now, for sure. With my next pick, I think that I will go with Khalil Shakir, someone that I think has a chance to be the most targeted receiver. Oh, wait, I have two Bills already. I have Kincaid and James Cook. That's a little bit too much input or too much expected input into the Buffalo offense. So I will pivot off of that one, and I'm going to go with the running back. And I am going to go with Chuba Hubbard, who I just have a feeling that Jonathan Brooks is really eased into it. I think Chuba Hubbard's the starter for a decent amount of the beginning of the season. So I'll take Chuba, sticking with the theme of high floors on my bench. And I think Chuba can be startable the first few weeks, especially. I don't know how ready Jonathan Brooks will be early on.
Yeah, no, I like that pick. I mean, I feel like for whatever reason, I don't really think Chuba Hubbard's a good running back, but he's gonna get tremendous touches and targets, and so that makes him a value. I feel like the Panthers really believe in him, and he will. He will. He's gonna have that value there. And then after you pick Chuba, there goes Zeke off the board. Dalton Zeke is gonna be interesting. I don't even know if I will even touch him. I just don't think he's a good running back in 2024 anymore.
And they're
Dalton.
looking to bring in like Miles Sanders or Dalvin Cook. I'm probably staying away.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz, Gus Edwards, who I probably would have taken, Justin Herbert, incredible value in the 10th round. Obviously, he's dealing with a plantar, I think, tear in his foot right now, so it is a little scary. Blake Corum, Curtis Samuel, who would have been a very, very good value pick. I'm very excited to see him, and then Jared Goff goes.
You
You
could
know
go with
what?
the first two quarterbacks drafted. Could be a cheat code.
It's true. It's true. I could go get Jaden Daniels here.
You'd be
Uh,
securing some high upside there.
I definitely would, but I'm gonna go with another guy who I think has some high upside, but at a different position. I'm gonna go Dontavian Wicks. And if you watched the preseason today, you saw Jordan Love, Dontavian Wicks. It was like a 50-yard touchdown, if I remember the distance on
61, I think. Yeah.
it. Yeah, 61-yard touchdown. You gotta love it. People are hyping him up to be the next Devonte Adams. Why not throw a dart here at the 10th round? Jordan Love just got paid a bag. He needs to prove why he got that bag. I think he will, and I think Dontavian Wicks is definitely gonna be a good target, but definitely worth a fantasy pick.
Yeah, I love it. I'm definitely just targeting the Packers offense in general. I think they're all undervalued and they output a lot of points this year.
Yes, 100%. And then with my second pick here, I'm gonna go a guy who not really being talked about, but is projected more points than Gus Edwards week one, and that is J.K. Dobbins, who looks healthy. He looks fast. He says he's fully healthy and recovered. He's on a 1-year prove it deal. And I think he's the best running back in the Chargers offense. I think he is better than Gus Edwards. I think Gus Edwards may be getting bulk of the red zone touches, which does scare me. But I think J.K. Dobbins is the better running back, and he's got more to prove. A 1-year prove a deal where Gus Edwards is on a 2-year, $14 million deal. Gus Edwards is older. And I think J.K. Dobbins is looking to get a bag. He's literally on a 1-year, $1.1 million contract, and like 700,000 of that is incentives. So he's got a lot to prove, but he's looked like incredible. He looks like he's never been injured, in this offseason. So I'm super, super excited to see him this year.
All right. Stores goes Wicks and Dobbins, and then Chase Brown, Jaden Daniels, Dobbs, Tyler Lockett, Jerome Ford, Trevor Lawrence, and Cole Kmet go before my next pick. And I'm deciding between the top three players here, but I can't go Shakir because I have too many Bills already. I'm invested too much into Buffalo. So I'm deciding between AD Mitchell and Pat Fryermuth. I will be going AD Mitchell. I need some upside on my bench. I've got two kind of high floor guys, and I usually like going full upside swings on my bench. So I will be going AD Mitchell. I think he's the wide receiver two for the Colts. I think he has upside to be like a really, really good receiver. He kind of gave me shades of CD Lamb when I watched this film in Texas. So I do like that dart throw. And, he might not be the most exciting, but with the second to last pick for my bench, I will be taking AD Mitchell.
Yeah, I like it. If he would have fallen back to me, I would have taken him as well. I think, from what it looks like, he could be the starting X, even week one. I think Michael Pittman's playing Z, if I'm not mistaken right now. And so yeah, I think AD Mitchell might roll out there as the starting X receiver. And this guy has wheels, man. I mean, he runs a 4-3 and he's got the quarterback to throw it to him. Anthony Richardson can absolutely air the ball out and AD Mitchell can kind of run every route in the tree, and he's sneakily just a fast burning wide receiver. So super excited to see that connection. And when we're getting to this, end of the draft, this is where you take your shots. This is where you take your dart throws because this is I'd say round nine, I think we're just doing the 12 rounds, and this is where you'd win your draft. You hit on a couple of these guys. This is the Puka Nakuas, the Nico Collins. This is where these guys go, and so you've got to take your dart throws. You got to hit on these guys. And there's no point, in my opinion, to play it safe and just get a guy with a floor. I think you got to get a guy with a huge ceiling.
Yeah, hopefully AD Mitchell can be a Puka Nakua. That would be a beautiful, beautiful 11th round pick. So with my next pick, I'm going to take one last dart throw at receiver, deciding kind of between Jerry Judy and Brandon Cooks. Jalen Polk could be fun. I see a world where Jalen Polk could be the wide receiver one for the Patriots. So I do like that upside as well. But with my current build, I will be going Joshua Palmer to kind of hedge and make sure that I definitely get the wide receiver one for the Chargers no matter what. So I'm going to take Joshua Palmer, pair him with Lad McConkey, and I don't have to worry if Lad McConkey isn't good. I'll have Joshua Palmer, and he'll definitely have that high floor and be the wide receiver one for the Chargers. So I'm getting myself a wide receiver one possibly with that last pick, and I feel good about it.
Called the Dan Fleece Stores draft right here. Yeah, that's
Came
exactly
here
what
for.
I would have done. Josh Palmer will roll out there as the Chargers starting X receiver. He's the veteran on the team now. He has the most chemistry with Herbert. I think Lad McConkey obviously has the most high upside and could go in there and out target Josh Palmer. But Josh Palmer has been very, very good and has had a very good connection with Justin Herbert when on the field and when healthy. So bearing that, yeah, you've got one of the Chargers top. You got, yeah, I mean, you got the Chargers wide receiver one and two. I don't really care how you slice it. You got their one and two.
For sure. And then Kirk Cousins, Josh Downs, Musgrave, Jalen Wright, Judy, Ben Sinnott, and Rashid Shaheed go right before your last pick.
And this is going to be another dart throw. This is kind of my Nico Collins pick. I'll say it. I'll give myself a little shout out. I drafted Nico Collins in most of my leagues last year. I was very high on him. I kind of felt like there was a breakout coming. And a guy who kind of has similar vibes to him, who, has just had terrible quarterback play, has just kind of hasn't taken that big leap, but has shown that he has that ceiling. It's going to be Jahan Dotson here, man. So I'm just going to throw my last dart throw at Jahan Dotson in a new offense with a new coaching staff, with a new quarterback and Jaden Daniels. And, he's worth it. He's worth a shot. He could be my sleeper Nico Collins of this year.
Absolutely worth the shot. I like that. And Jaden Daniels could favor him. And let's go and grade each other's drafts real quick. Fun part of our mock drafts that we do. We'll start out with yours if you want to read off your team.
Yes, so Caleb Williams, my quarterback one. Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker are going to be my starting running back one and RB2. First overall pick was Tyreek Hill, followed by Nico Collins at the 212. So those are my starting wide receivers. Travis Kelce is my starting tight end. Zamir White and Zach Moss are my two flex players. And then on my bench, I've got Keon Coleman, Dontavian Wicks, J.K. Dobbins, and Jahan Dotson.
I like it. I'm trying to calculate a grade here real quick in my head. I think it's a pretty balanced team. The starting lineup is definitely solid. I think the bench is balanced as well. You have some high floor and some high upside in there. Pretty solid team, I'll be honest. I don't love Zamir White personally. I just have a nasty feeling about all the Raiders this year. I'm just really not drafting them, so that might knock my grade down a little bit. I love your receivers. I think that you really got stills in your running backs and waiting in the fourth and fifth round and getting Joe Mixon and Kenneth Walker. And I do love Caleb Williams more than anyone. So I can't really give this a bad grade, honestly, especially for a build that takes Travis Kelce in the third round. So I'll give this one a B plus, honestly, with the 8.7. I like 8.8. I'll give you an 8.8. I like this draft, not gonna lie.
All right, Dad's feeling it. Dad's feeling it. I'm being a little harsh on myself. This is not my favorite draft. I feel like I did kind of reach on Caleb Williams. And for that reason, I feel like I could have gotten myself a higher upside at flex. Nico Collins is in a heavily crowded offense. I don't really feel like that matters. But I'm going to be a little harsher on myself. I'm going to give myself a C plus. I didn't love my draft, but I do think it's solid. The floor, or this, I should say, I feel like the floor is very good, but the ceiling for really boom weeks outside of Tyreek Hill and Caleb Williams kind of scares me. So I don't feel like there's a lot of upside. I feel like it's a very safe floor, though.
Yeah, and there will be a lot of running backs starting. So in a full point PPR league, that might be a problem unless Zamir White and Zach Moss really get a lot of catches. But I do think Zach Moss was a complete steal, factored into my high grade, and I do think it was an overall good draft.
All right, I appreciate it.
Going on to my team, I'll read it off real quick. I get Jordan Love in the eighth round as my QB1. Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley were my first two picks for my two running backs. And then I get Debo Samuel in the third round with Jaden Reed as my other starting receiver. I get Dalton Kincaid as my tight end as a steal in the fifth round. James Cook is my first flex, followed by Lad McConkey. And then my bench is Cortland Sutton, Chuba Hubbard, A.D. Mitchell, and Josh Palmer.
Yeah, that's a damn good draft. I really see this is kind of my this is a ceiling team in my opinion. I love Jordan Love this year. Bijan and Saquon should definitely be top five running backs. Debo and Jaden Reed. Debo could really be lethal given if Brandon Ayuk doesn't come back. Dalton Kincaid, who's pretty much just a wide receiver one. The only pick I'm a little suspect on is James Cook, but at the value you got him, it's really good. And then you got Lad McConkey the upside. I'm gonna give you an A, Dan. I'll give you an A. I'll give you an A. I think it's your best draft so far. We're getting close to our draft day. For those of you who haven't drafted or have drafted yet, we always recommend you wait till after the preseason. Injuries are a real thing. They happen even in the third week of the preseason. But given your team right now, Dan, it's a solid A for me.
Thank you. That's very generous of you. I'm happy. I think I do like this team as well. I'm kind of just grading it as if this was my team in our main league. If I came away with this team, how happy would I be? And honestly, this feels like a team that I mock draft a lot. A lot of these players are players I target. I'm not the most proud of the bench, honestly. I wish I would have got a little bit better value for my bench, but in a 12 team league, it's hard to do so. So I do think with my current build, there's a lot of upside, and I come away with the Jordan Love, Jaden Reed stack. I kind of went the opposite of you, and I went two running backs, and then I let two really good receivers fall to me. So with that, I will go. I'll go an A minus. I think I'd be really happy if I left the draft with my team with this team in our main league. I actually do like this, so I'll go 9.1. Honestly, I like this draft.
Yeah, I'll give the edge to you this draft. I thought you took that eighth pick and you did the most with it. I think it's a good draft. I'll declare you the winner of this one. We're still gonna get some more out there. You better believe it. I'm gonna have a little shot for redemption. But let us know what you guys think. Obviously, grade me and Danny's draft. Tell us what you think. Tell us where we got value. Just comment and engage with us. We'd love to talk about it, love to talk through it. So please be active with us.
Yep, definitely. We'll let the comments decide who had the best draft here. It definitely was close. I liked both drafts. We'll have definitely another draft soon here. We'll get Jason back on another mock draft pod, and that should be fun. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning into another fantasy football mock draft podcast. We'll have some fantasy football rankings and mock drafts coming out soon. We'll finish our deep dive series here this month. So, stay tuned to the NFL Seekers podcast. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.
Shout out Steph Curry.